All right, folks, welcome back here for our next stop on the Gorm train. So, catching up from previous episode, again, apologies. Thought I was going to have my overlays working this week. Unfortunately, didn't quite get there. Just a couple glitches that looks like I need to get worked out. Almost definitely have that done for next set of episodes. As for what's happening, we are bringing out our B team because our A team was sidelined by acid rain. So we are hunting another Gorm. So joining us, we have Asteria. Asteria's just got her rib blade, which has been cleansed of its campaign 3 curse. We've got Larry. Good old expendable Larry is going to be our primary tank here. Nothing special. Got him some monster grease. And then, if you remember, Kumar had the axe. I swapped Larry to the axe because the male rawhide model has a sword and the female has the axe. And I wanted that to be accurate. We have Kiko, who's just going to be our ranged character. And finally, Violet is going to be our secondary tank with her axe. That said, nothing else happening. We've already applied our departure benefits. So let's just kick off our hunt phase. Hunt phase will be started by, that is Larry. Where are you at, sir? Flatter Earth. The survivors lose their quarry's trail in a field of stone faces so badly crushed by the passing of Gorm herds that nothing remains but a carpet of fine pebbles. Roll a d10. With a 5, distracted, move the Gorm one space away on the hunt board. That's fine. Just going to move him up here because he gets in the way of the cards. Next up, Kiko. Itchy palms. The survivors come across a field of huge boulders worn on all sides with deep, smooth grooves. If any survivor has 3+ understanding, that's not happening. We still are perilously low on courage and understanding right now. Nothing else. If roll a random hunt event if no survivor has 3+. The 16. Night terrors. Your miserable sleep is plagued with mind-bending nightmares. Each survivor rolls a d10. If the result is greater than their insanity, they learn something from the waking horror and gain 1 understanding. Otherwise, they gain 1 random disorder. If any survivor is a savior or has the extra sense, that doesn't matter. Wow. That actually would have worked on Rhonda. Okay. So what are our insanity numbers looking like here? We've got 2, 3, nothing, and nothing. All right. So starting off with Asteria, that is a 5. With Larry, that is a 2. And then definitely with 0. So Larry gets a random disorder. He's stocked up on disorders. Everybody else gains 1 understanding. And Larry gets squeamish. Cannot depart with any stinky gear. All right, well, that's the last time he's using the monster grease, I guess. All right, and then Violet. Should just be a random hunt event. Correct. Whoopsie. The 31. Is that a dangerous one? No. Strange path. The survivors stop at the head of a path. Small lanterns twinkle, marking its edges. The event revealer decides whether or not the survivors follow the path. If the event revealer is insane, they are not. They must If the survivors follow the path, the event revealer gains 1 understanding, rolls a d10, and adds their understanding. So who was this again? This was Violet, so she'll have 2 understanding. So can't get a 1. That's not too terrible. That's not too terrible. Okay, yeah, we're going to do this. So +1 understanding to our Violet. And then roll a d10 and add 2. That's a 9. What does a 9 get us? The path leads the survivors to a large stone face with lanterns for eyes. Inside its open mouth is a bounty. Each survivor gains 1 random basic resource. All right. Got a hide, an organ, and a bone. Nice. So there's our innovation for the year done. We have a 4th one with Asteria. Yep. So we do have 1 basic hunt event that is not just roll random. That's why I'm flipping. With a 46. River. The survivors come to the edge of a river of blood. Non-insane survivors suffer 1 brain event damage at the sight of it. The survivors must investigate in order to pick up their quarry's trail. Survivor rolls a d10. All right, so that's everybody but Larry, because Larry is insane. Yeah, not worth re-rolling this. We'll just take the brain damage. Good old crazy Larry. All right, what are we doing here again? Each survivor investigates. Okay. So we revealed with Asteria, so we will start with her with an 8. I don't know why I keep doing that. It's unnecessary. With an 8, you realize that the Blood River is filled with the bloated corpses of unrecognizable monsters. You feel compelled to fish some out, gain 1 random basic resource. If you are wearing heavy gear, you fall in and swallow blood and soft-bloated monster bits. Reduce your survival to 1. She's not wearing much gear at all. That doesn't even count as heavy, although I'm pretty sure weapons don't count as gear. I don't remember. Either way, it doesn't matter. Skull Helm is not heavy. Nice. So she gets another random basic resource. We're going to go through this deck pretty soon. With a perfect organ. That's nice. Oh my god, I've got a disaster going on over here. No, I don't want you like that, because I'm going to forget there's 2 things there. All right. Next up is Crazy Larry. A solid 2. You lose your balance and fall into the river of blood. Instantly, a massive parasite crams its way down your throat, savaging your insides on the way in. Suffer the broken rib, severe body injury. You hope that's all the parasite does to you. What is broken rib again? -1 permanent speed and a bleed. Well, that sucks. Now, this might be the end of the road for old Larry. And a bleed. All right, Kiko. Yeah, there's the 10. We do find the monster's trail, so we get to move on after this. There's always room for Larry. And then finally, I believe it's Violet. Yeah, Violet. With an 8. also gets a basic resource, and she's definitely not wearing any heavy gear. Yeah, none of this is heavy. With another hide. Nice. All right. And with that, Crazy Broken Larry starts the showdown. Yeah, that's a good point, Josh. We'll see how things go. Oh, we got a monster corpse. Nice. All right, so monster corpse, or dead monster, means we get to go anywhere we want to start, and we get the first action. So let's think about this. We got some acanthus. That's going to be handy. So who's our heavy hitters? We got Asteria and Violet. They're definitely starting there. Kiko's just going to go on an adventure gathering stuff for a while. And Larry starts there. So where do we want to put all this stuff? Yeah, Kiko can just run around in the background for a while. That's fine. Yeah, that's fine. So I'll start by gathering this acanthus, then he'll go for the monster corpse, then he'll go for this acanthus, and then he'll enter the fight. Or maybe we'll go right to left and then center, so we're probably closer to the fight. We'll see where the monster goes. We'll see what happens. But we do get to go first. So actually, the smart thing to do... what's the size of the wretch zone? I'm just doing this as a test. Yeah, it goes out to here. Okay. So just in case, we're going to start Larry outside of the wretch zone. We'll start with Kiko. He might as well go after this first acanthus. Oh, no, we'll start him at the far. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Whatever. He's going to go after the acanthus. With a 5. +1 survival. Never going to say no to that. Oh, I also got to do my stone noses. Kiko. That's another survival. And an insanity. And Crazy Larry. All right. Let's start the fighting. Asteria, let's get that rib blade going, girl. Nice. With the trap. Oh, God, I just can't get ahead. Full move the Gorm towards the attacker, so we're just gonna go like that. Headbutts them with a Norman Skull, suffers 1 damage to the head. It's okay, she's got the Skull Helm, so that's not terrible. Turn the monster to face the most survivors. I think this is probably the best for that. Yeah, because Violet has no insanity, so we don't want him to go that way. Yeah, so this is the best for that. They both get knocked down, suffer 1 brain damage. Off to a great start. Both got insanity, though. And that's it, right? He doesn't do an attack. Yeah, just 1 damage to the head, knockdown, brain damage. Cool. All right, so Violet is going to stand up Larry. She will get that survival back. No real point in standing up Asteria. She's already attacked. Then Violet herself is going to come around this way. Swing her axe. That is one hit.
What?
You saw me shuffle it, right? Oh my god. B team, get it together, guys. And then Violet has no insanity, does she? Well, I don't think there's a good play here. All right. So Larry's not so crazy anymore. Oh, that's a severe. We might do that different then. Yeah, we're not going to do that. Does this knock down? No. Yeah, we're not doing that. We'll let Asteria take the light brain injury. And that's it for our free turn. Forgot to do that. What a freaking disaster. Shuffle, please. My God. Body check. Random survivor in range. That can be anybody. It's going to be Kiko. At least we can get there safely. One speed hitting on a 3. That's a hit. Kiko's probably going to dodge this. Yeah, bash and knockback. I've got enough people on their ass. Just dodge it. Got plenty of survival. All right, good news is that means we get to stand up. So Kiko's just going to keep doing his job. He's just going to keep picking flowers. Kiko, you're a good boy. With a 9, get a fresh acanthus. Nice. Violet, where can you go? You can get there. So I think what we do... Just trying to think of the best way to do this because I don't want to get stuck in wretch mode. All right, well, Larry's not going to be able to do anything of value, at least offensively, unless the monster moves. Well, monster's probably not going to move. Okay. Larry's going to rawhide headband. Let's just do that. Well, that was actually probably dumb because we might wound these off anyway. Scratch sucks. Wallop's fine. Okay, so let's hope we can get rid of Scratch. 2, 3, 4, 5. hopefully be in front. No, maybe there. Nope. 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 Asteria, you might as well go here. It's probably the best place for you. Okay. Not the trap. So Ribblade, right? 5. Asteria. Asteria is also a killer with 2 strength. So wounding on a 2, critting on a 9. That's a crit. Gorm gains -1 movement token. Do I have one of those out? I do. That actually could be huge. We do get Scratch out of there. And then Violet. I mean, might as well. Just hope we do right here. 1 hit. Oh no! We're going to lose our axe. That's why she has a blade. I'm pretty sure this monster only has 1 super dense location. So 3 for wounding on a 4. She does not crit on a 9, unfortunately. So it kind of wasted that headband, but oh well. Knocked down, but doesn't really matter because it's going to get right back up and we don't have Surge. And unfortunately, we lose our Bone Axe. It's okay, because we're just going to craft the Greater Gax after this one, right? Totally. Does have that Rib Blade, though, so we'll be all right. Also, not keeping track of wounds with weapons. The Rib Blade definitely wounded. Larry hasn't done anything yet. I mean, I could give... I might build her up for sword. We'll see. We'll see. But that's everybody's act. Back around to the Gorm with a hiccup. That's fine. Nope, that's not so fine. Violet's going to get squashed. I knew it was risky. I knew it was risky. Whoopsie. So, further survivor in range. Doesn't really matter. We might act... no. Roll a d10 for each adjacent survivor. So start with Asteria. Knocked down. And then Violet. She is not knocked down, but she will be. And then we retch. Good news is nobody's in the retch zone. Asteria is on this square. And then place this card back on top. Okay, what are we doing? So we're going to have Larry stand up Violet. Does not get the survival back. Oh, come on. You, come on, dude. Get out of here. And then Violet will stand up Asteria. She will get the survival back. Okay, Asteria is going to do Asteria things. Missing, unfortunately. Larry, get over here. No, not yet. Yes? Try to, no. Kiko is going to go over here and gather this dead monster. With a 5, one more random basic resource. With another hide. What am I going to do with all these hides? Am I going to make a 3rd rawhide? Because I can't start making leather yet. All right, Larry first. Maybe. Yeah, because you don't need the ammonia. So that's actually a good call, Josh. All right, so Bone Blade is hitting on 6s. 1 hit. All right, wounding. I was trying to keep Violet out of Wretch Zone, and now she's going to be in this range. Let's just not do that. So, wounding on a 5. All right, so that's fine. Yeah, that's all right. Need to get this hiccup off. Okay, let's think about this. So, if we move Violet in, if she doesn't wound, she's going to get squashed again. That's right, she should take damage from that, shouldn't she? Right. She should have taken damage for that knockdown. I think I might have forgotten that last time around. Well, can't go back a whole lantern here. But no, because the monster ended movement on top of her. It wasn't a regular collision. So let us consult. Yeah, the Screaming Antelope will do damage if it runs over you in addition to ending on top of you. Okay, no, you are right. I might have been dealing myself extra damage that I didn't need to. Huh. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you. Anyway, if Violet moves in and fails to wound, she's going to get squashed by the hiccup again. Which, now that I know, that doesn't do damage. But then that also leaves Larry in the hiccup zone. And she's only using the Bone Blade. I think we're all right to give it a shot. She will be hitting on 5s for blind spot. Neat. Okay, so we draw hiccup again. All right, so let's start with Asteria. She's knocked down. I should have done the smart play. Larry is not knocked down. Violet is not knocked down. And then he hiccups again. Blah. So Larry will take 1 damage straight to his body. All right, well, we're going to replay this. Larry will stand up Violet. Larry can't catch a break. Violet will stand up Asteria. Violet has no problems. And we're just going to repeat the process. Asteria will move here. And miss. Kiko, you're in the fight now, bud. Just warming up. Larry. hit. We said he's wounding on a 5. Hey, that's a wound. Got rid of the hiccup. Violet, really not a better... I'm going to scoot her over 1, so maybe she can start getting around. 2 hits. One of them's the trap. Neat. Alright, so that's 1 damage to the head. And turn to face the most survivors, which will definitely be this way. Could go this way as well, but I think this is the better play. Yeah, it's definitely the better play. So 1 brain damage to Larry. 1 brain damage to Kiko. That's fine. And again. Yep, that's that. I mean, I'm a little less mad about drawing that trap because at least we got to draw a few cards. And that was everybody's turn. Oh, wait, we are... Sorry, I got to double check. They do get knocked down, right? Yeah, they are auto knocked down. I promise I didn't pay attention to any of those, but in the sense of fairness, we'll reshuffle. All right. Struggling our way, but we're getting there. Thunderfoot. Draw an AI. Any survivor that ends their act in the stomping zone suffers knockback 5 and is knocked down. Okay. That's fine. We can work around that. Okay. Well, at least this is our ammonia card. The Gorm asserts its dominance over a challenging survivor. When the survivor ends their act in the Gorm's blind spot, if they have any armor points at the... All right, so just don't go to the blind spot. If the Gorm is defeated when this card is in play, we get ammonia. Neat. So, like, this is free ammonia because this card never goes away. Draw another AI card. Infrasonic Roar. All threats, which is just going to be Asteria and Violet. Ooh. Okay. So start with Asteria. Yep. So that's going to be a brain trauma on Asteria. We'll get to that in a second. Violet. That's also a brain trauma on Violet. Okay. The full move the Gorm towards the furthest threat. That's going to be either of the girls. I think the best way is to go this way so we can start getting people in better positions. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. But we need 2 brain trauma rolls here. Asteria with a 6. Danger Seizure, 1 damage to yourself and every adjacent survivor. Gain random disorder and D5 insanity. So that is 3 insanity. Don't deal damage to yourself, right? Yeah, 1 damage to yourself. All right, so 3 insanity. 1 damage to her body. And a random disorder. Ichmophobia. Cannot activate or depart with axes, swords, spears, daggers, scythes, or guitars. Thankfully, the rib blade doesn't count as any of those things. So, that's fine. That's fine. Gets that one, and then Violet with an 8. Lunacy, Random Disorder, and D5 Insanity. That is a whopping 5 Insanity for her. That's huge. And her disorder will be... Whoopsie. Quixotic. This is actually a good one. If you're insane when you depart, 1 survival and 1 strength token. Alrighty. That was the monster's turn. So Kiko gets to stand up. Larry gets to stand up. Asteria needs to step out of the way. Still slightly in danger, but I think she's okay. Well, we'll find out. Yeah, she'll be all right either way. With a perfect hit. So again, wounding on 2, critting on 9. Definitely wounding on 2. Yeah, I will take Quixotic all day, every day. That is absolutely a wound. Very nearly a crit. Now I'm wishing I'd gotten that Lucky Charm. But I can't get too greedy. And then Violet. Honestly, just stay there, Violet. You're fine. With a hit. And then this is wounding on a 5. Nice. Getting it back together. Oh, and then this is gone now. Oh, I forgot about that. But the first survivor to end their turn there did the wound, so we're good. Yeah, because this would have been discarded before the end of Asteria's turn. Kiko, 1, 2, 3, 4. You're in range. That is a hit. Good job, buddy. Wounding on a 4. Not happening, so that's actually fine. And then Larry can finally start getting back around to the front. Nothing happening there, though. All right. All good. Got flattened. Random survivor in blind spot is nobody. Closest survivor field of view in range will be Larry. All right, Larry. We know how this went last time. He's got 3 evasions. So this will be hitting on 5s. 1, 2, 3. 3 hits. Okay. Definitely going to be dodging one of these. Hand, waist, body. I mean, he's down to 2 survival. I think we just take it. No, we dodged the body. We dodged the body. He does get the survival back. Okay. Suffer bash and knock back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's fine. Because the good thing is now Gorby Boy is knocked down. He also turns around, right? Yeah. All right, so let me not make that mistake again. Because when he stands up, he's going to be back in that position. All right, I'm just going to remember he's knocked down because this fat ass is just all over the place. Makes it hard to navigate around him. All right, let's beat this baby up. Start with Asteria. Got that hit. Got that crit. The Ruined Mandibles swings limply from the Gorm's jaw. Roll a d10. Let's start there. Asteria, you beast! On a result of 5+, the attacker hacks away the arms and gains 1 courage and 1 survival. Nice. 1 courage, 1 survival. And then that's a wound. Nice. All right. Violet, stand up. Larry. Never spending a survival, Violet. Just never spending a survival. We'll move him into the blind spot. Oh, no, we don't want to move into the blind spot. That would be bad. Get out of the blind spot, Larry. Larry, just hang out for a bit. We'll figure out. You're probably going to headband. Kiko, might as well throw your dart. That still hits. That fails to wound, unfortunately. Yeah, Violet, step in front. You're fine. 1 hit. Wounding on a 4? 5. With a crit! Nice, that's a persistent injury. At the start of each monster turn, roll a d10. On a 9+, the Gorm is knocked down. So I'm going to put that here so I have a better chance of remembering that. And then Larry, Rawhide Headband. Shit. So we could choose Flatten, which we don't want to do. The only other card in the deck is Thunderfoot, which would just draw Flatten anyway. Okay. Well, might as well do it that way and hope he falls on his ass. Yeah, Larry's not taking that hit. He's not taking 2 Flattens. Violet is in perfectly good shape to take a hit. All right. He will stand back up, but flatten means he's going to be knocked back down again. So random survivor in the blind spot is nobody. Larry's behind, but not in the blind spot. Closest survivor in field of view in range. Uh-oh. What did I forget, Josh? You're right. You are right, my friend. I even just said it. Yeah, it didn't matter, but thank you. So yep, close survivor field of view in range would be either Asteria or Violet. We're going to pick Violet. Unfortunately, Violet will be getting hit on 4s, not 5s. 1, 2. All right, cool. Head and legs, definitely just going to dodge that head. Spends her first survival of the night. And then I got to remember he turns this way. Oops. And then just remember again, Gorm is knocked down. So back to our turn again. Larry is going to, well, Larry's down to 2 survival. Asteria's got plenty of survival. She's just going to spend 1. Oops, not go down to 1. Spend 1 to stand up Violet. And we're just going to repeat the process. Asteria. That's a hit. Nothing special. That actually is a wound. Because again, Violet, the Rib Blade is strength 5. Violet is strength 2. So that's a 7 to the Gorm's 8 toughness. So mathematically needs a 1 to wound, but a 1 always fails. So 2 or higher is a wound for Asteria. Kiko with a hit. And then Kiko needs a, what did we say, a 4. That is a wound. All right, we can finish it off here. Larry. Two hits. We're going to try to avoid that one. We need a 5 to wound. Just a 5. Not that. We did it. That will finish off the Gorm. Easy. Easy clap. I'm glad that finally I'm getting comfortable fighting the Gorm. Campaign 3 was... It felt like the Gorm was such a challenge every time just because we could not deal damage to save our lives. I mean, getting flattened 3 times in one fight certainly helps. Although trying 3 traps in one fight... A Gorm trap isn't too bad. It's survivable. You just got to have some insanity. But that's that. Let's get our XP out here. So I believe everybody is going to age up. And let's get to that page. All right, we will start with Asteria. With a 14. That's a fighting art. She gets Rhythm Chaser. That's a nice one. On arrival, gain +1 evasion token. When you are knocked down, if you don't have an instrument in your gear grid, remove all your +1 evasion tokens. Rhythm Chaser cannot be used if there is any heavy gear in your gear grid. Take it. So maybe Asteria is going to become a secondary tank then. She can tank with the Rib Blade. And we are also going to give her a grand weapon for now. Larry with a 7. That's a fighting art. Mammoth hunting. Not great for Larry, but I won't say no to it. Larry, you might as well learn sword. No reason not to. Kiko with an 11. That's a fighting art. Lure Epilepsy. Once per showdown, you may spend an action to give yourself a seizure. You suffer a random brain trauma and are knocked down. I mean, that is incredibly stupid, but if you really don't want to be a threat, it's an option. No real need to give a weapon proficiency. And finally, Violet with a 11. Yep. So age 1, you almost always get a fighting art. Leader. Oh, this is a good one. It had both sides of the coin. Whatever you encourage, they gain plus. And Violet encouraged her ass off in that last one. So Violet and Larry, what a combo. And yep. Cool. That's actually a really good one. Last man standing, quixotic leader. Violet might be turning into our MVP, y'all. She did wound with axe, and I'd rather have a second axe than a second sword, so we'll do that. All right, we need our resources. Ain't got a whole lot left in this deck. Question mark, skull, organ, bone. Cool. Mammoth hand is good. Another rib. Handed skull. And a brain. Oh, we got some good stuff. Good stuff. So we've got options. All right. Get our endeavors and do our timeline. So again, Nemesis Encounter Butcher is not happening this year. We do not have the Butcher in our campaign. Let us draw our card. Ah, crap. Randomly choose a returning survivor and give them +3 insanity. Cool. Let's start there. It is Kiko. The survivor consumes the skull of a deceased survivor. They awaken a hunger that cannot be stopped and roll on the table below. They gain the following impairment: marrow hunger. When the murder or skull eater settlement events are drawn, this survivor is nominated. Roll a d10 with a 6. The skull eater's activities go unnoticed. They gain +1 permanent strength and +1 courage. All right, so there's some positives to this. Whoops. Unfortunately, add the murder settlement event to the timeline next year. Next year, we got a lot of shit going on. That's done. And we still have to get our Gorm climate. Roll our d10 with a 5. We do have Hovel this time around. The survivors huddle inside as razor winds and sickening lightning pummel the settlement. +2 to endeavor results at home innovations this lantern year. Don't think we have any home innovations just yet that are relevant. That's nothing. That's not home, and that's nothing. We'll see what we draw. Otherwise, not bad. Oh, wait. Yeah, add Gorm climate to the next year. I always forget that's not attached to the roll. All right. Oh, and also we get our free ammonia. Important to do that now, because unfortunately we gotta put some more stuff in there. Would love to do it the other way around, but that's not fair. This deck is going to be thick. Okay. there's those two. All right, let's gather up all of our goodies. And boy, are there a lot. Yeah, I'd say we're definitely opening that leather worker. All right, first of all, we got a Gorm Brain. And we do have an iron. That's probably something we're going to... All right, we got to innovate. Let's start there. Organ Bone Hide. We've got albedo and paint. I will absolutely take paint. So we finally get dash unlocked. Let's get that. I think that's this one. Nope, that was this one. Then we need to grab those consequences. Face painting is a big one for us. I think that's all of them. Yep, that's all of them. All right. Next play, we got the Mammoth Hand. So we can make the Knuckle Shield. Or, hear me out. Hold on to the Mammoth Hand for now. Take a bone. Handed Skull doesn't really do anything for us. That's for the armor. Handed Skull and a meaty rib. And we spend an innovation to Negredo. Might actually do this a couple times because I really want this dense bone. My God. All right. Oh, one Slave Lantern year. Okay. Roll that D10. Come on, baby. Who's got a reroll? Who's got a reroll? Cindy, you're using your reroll. Okay. So, spend 3 bone to gain 1 dense bone Gorm resource. It's the only time I'm going to do this. And then we're going to come up here. Spend our Jiggling Lard and our new dense bone to make our greater Gax. Took me 2 shots at Gorm campaigns to get this stupid thing, but we're there. All right, now I got a bunch of other stuff. Gonna spend another innovation because we got the Gorm Brain and a strange resource. We have an iron up here. To gain the next Gormkami. So this is albedo. Oh, we also have to do another thing. Which then brings in Citronus. Before I go any farther, I almost forgot. We do have 5 innovations. Which means we get to do, air quotes, get Hooded Knight. Not a huge fan of this one, but it's the campaign. Stranger emerges from the darkness. If any survivor has the Twilight Sword, we don't. Otherwise, mysterious agenda. Roll a d10. 7. The Hooded Knight forces a tattered parcel into the hands of the returning survivor with the most hunt XP. If tied, randomize. Okay. God, please don't be Larry. This is Violet. So, good news, bad news for Violet. She's a good survivor, but is what it is. Hooded Knight leaves with unfinished business. Add Hooded Knights 4 years from now. So she gets the Twilight Sword. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Hooded Knight. And we gotta get this thing. That is rare gear. Oh, why are there 2? That's new. Must be one of the expansions. And I think I grabbed... Yeah, so this is Red Witch's stuff, I think. That's annoying. All right, so we've got our Twilight Sword user. That is Violet, so... At least she didn't have a super important proficiency. That does go away now. All right, so we'll sort that out in coming years, but that's that. Yeah, because everybody had 2. Back to business at hand. Oh boy. All right, fresh acanthus. Let's get ourselves a dried acanthus. Always good to have. All right, we were doing the Gorm Brain. No, we did that. What else? All right, we got all of this stuff. So yeah, I think the play here is definitely, let's just unlock the leather worker, because we don't need all this freaking hide. I mean, we can't really do anything with it yet, but might as well. I gotta rearrange some stuff here. All right, which leaves us with a mammoth hand, which we might just hold on to. Oh no, we can do this, because this, okay. Mammoth hand and 2 bones. We got there. To make the knuckle shield. Solid. Start working on that. And then finally, perfect organ. Typically, I would hold on to a perfect organ. I've gotten now 2 perfect organs and a perfect hide over the course of this campaign. But with Gorm climate, it's kind of risky. We don't really need it for anything for a while. Once we start fighting level 3s, we're going to need these, but I think hopefully we can get one by then. So I think the better play here is to spend that to make a lucky charm. Until Gorm climate is off, I'm not going to save the perfects. And we will get that lucky charm. One endeavor left. Can't do leatherwork. Oh, no, we can do leatherworking. But we don't have any hide, right? Shared experience. We don't really have a use for that. Don't want to do augury. Can't do that. Nothing to do here. One for innovation, one for Gorm. Yes, you're right. Because this cost an endeavor. Thank you, Josh. Appreciate you. I mean, I was just going to make a stone nose with it anyway at this point, but still being fair. So that's it. We are good to go. We are making progress. Y'all, the road to redemption. I think we're still clear of any delays on that path. So looking ahead, what have we got? We have got one more Gorm for Lantern Year 5, and then all the story events in the world. So we'll see how all this shakes out. For anybody who doesn't know, I'm not going to tell you what we're fighting. So next stream, we will have a Gorm fight and a other fight. But that's it. Cool. We've got some pretty good survivors. We're picking up some stats. Extra evasion, extra strength, extra luck, extra accuracy. Somebody got an extra accuracy. I think it was one of these folks. So we just gotta deal with murder. So unfortunately, one of the returning survivors will be the murder victim. So we got to plan around that. Because it's going to be the person with the most hunt XP. And no matter who we take out, they're all going to assumedly return with 3 hunt XP. So we've got to pick the most expendable member of the team to be our murder victim next Lantern Year. Other than that, we've got Flower Night coming up soon, so hopefully we can start building up our population. Theoretically, babies might start being born at some point. But yeah, all right. So that's the plan going forward. Got some good gear. Oh, wait, there was one thing I wanted to do. We got the Gax. I started showing this off so long ago. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to unassign survivor just for Violet. It doesn't matter. And if you all remember, had our boy Morg. So here's the cool thing about Morg. We assign Morg to a sheet. Let's say we don't have the Greater Gax yet. Let's go get that Bone Axe back. We put the Bone Axe in the gear grid, and the Morg model swaps to the Bone Axe. So we don't have the Bone Axe anymore. But we do have our Greater Gax. And now the model will show the Greater Gax. So Morg, most of the other Indomitable survivors, I don't want to say all of them, and some of the Echoes of Death survivors, which I have not picked up. Echoes of Death and Indomitables are not included with my master key. I do get the Indomitables because I think they're cool. I'm not personally a big fan of Echoes of Death, especially for the price. They're definitely a little more worthwhile in physical because you at least get 4 models. But essentially you're paying, I forget the cost, but in the simulator you're paying for 4 fighting arts that you're probably not going to use. Um, most of them are not great. A couple of them are very good, but I think as a whole, personally, I don't find it worth. Especially with the Gambler's Chest coming out, fighting arts really are going to lose their value going forward. But I've been waiting so long to get this stupid axe just so I could show off this cool thing. And then we're going to muffle so that Morg doesn't yell at us every time we click on him. It took, God, what, 9 lantern years to get to this point? But we got there. We got there. All right, y'all. Thanks so much for tuning in tonight. Had an absolute blast. This game can be frustrating, but man, when it works out, it is so fun, and I love it so much. So thanks for hanging out. As always, folks, if you head on over to the YouTube channel, you can catch all the VODs where you can see Josh correcting all my mistakes. Josh, buddy, thanks so much for hanging out tonight. Appreciate you. And YouTube folks, if you would like to be like Josh and join us live, check the link in the description where we are live just about every Friday evening. Should be good for at least the next 2 weeks. Things are going to get a little sketchy around the end of the month, but we'll see how that works out. So see y'all then. Thanks for tuning in.